here with my compadre and consigliere, El Breno Noto.
Hey, we're here.
What do you know?
Well, it is sunny and spring-like. In fact, we've are working, trying to keep squinting here.
I hope it's up here. They faulted me for having our bridge scene autumnal here in spring.
They're ready for the spring.
And took another photo today for our chroma key, and here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about electric vehicles, electric cars, people who are in that, and other things.
All things electric. We love electricity.
And Brain has been researching that and knows all about the EV industry. And he's going to tell you about it, and I'm going to make stupid comments about it while he does.
You're going to punctuate and pontificate?
I'm the color man.
He's the color man. Well, it was cool, you know, because we have arrived at the big time finally. We've been recognized.
Have we?
You know, in print, we have the electric vehicle television and the conversion convention have, but we made the inside of the Nordlock magazine. Bolted, and this is cool. I mean, we sell a lot of Nordlocks, and we approve of Nordlocks.
We do.
And I think, what do they have? Even a new, improved design that we're using now?
What is it? Here it is. The SPX.
Yeah.
It is not only, it's a new evolution in bolt security. We're going to try them.
Okay.
I like the way ours worked, and these are more expensive. But that won't matter to you a whole lot. We throw them in with everything.
Right. Everywhere you buy Nordlocks around here.
They have a new X series, which not only has the cam lock, but now it's coned.
Okay. All right. So
it'll be even more grippy.
You'll never be able to back them off.
These guys have built a great business over one single product.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Wedge lock washer, and they do a great job of it.
Yeah, they really do.
And it's kind of a key to our braided battery straps.
Thank you to Nordlock. We're let's see what went on in the business this week. Well, you know, we don't like to talk about the bad things in the electric vehicle industry, but we have discussed the fact that it is a disruptive industry right now. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of things going on. People are going to come and go.
They come, they go.
They go. Sometimes they won't go anyway. But Terry McAuliffe, who was the former National Democratic Party chairman and now running for the governorship of Virginia, apparently, has got himself in a little bit of trouble. He got some tax credits and a $5 million state loan through the good offices of Haley Barbour. And I believe even Bill Clinton came to the car's launch last year, as did Haley Barbour. Apparently, though, he's resigned from the company that he founded. The Washington Post reported it was an NEV, but I don't know what happened to the money. His hopes for Virginia governor may be a little shaky at this point. I don't know.
You may recall our original story on this, but not likely. We didn't do one because this was such a weenie stupid car with a weenie stupid people, including Terry McAuliffe, that we never bothered to mention that.
That's right. That's right. What was an NE? We don't talk too much about it.
So if you wonder whatever happened to them, we've got what happened.
We know what
them,
happened,
but we didn't bother to tell you that they were doing it. It was a neighborhood electric vehicle that.
It's finally interesting.
Political hack was going on and on about how it was going to change the world. It didn't even make a lick of sense. He didn't know he didn't make a lick of sense. We run into this a lot where they don't know and don't know they don't know.
That's right.
And are going on
and
about
talk
something.
A lot.
I guess this week guns are back in it and something else. It's amazing to listen to just child minds chant nonsense about things they don't have any clue over.
No.
But they just go on.
Just keep going. Hopefully someone will listen, I guess, if you keep talking.
Well, no, if anyone tries to give them a clue, they think they disagree with them.
Yes.
Yeah, we do disagree with you because it's stupid.
It's stupid in public.
They don't know enough to be embarrassed.
And that is kind of scary.
And they're getting where they're kind of running the country. It's kind of frightening. Let's go more EV stuff.
Let's see. Well, this one was kind of interesting. There was a company, and I say was, I guess still is, 350 Green, which was doing charging stations up in the Chicago area and a few other markets. The FBI is interested in what this company is doing now. Apparently they had received, let's see, $1 million, I think, to the city of Chicago. Some contractors were doing some work. They actually did install some stations. The problem was they showed the checks to the city and the state to be able to get the money, and they never gave the checks to the contractors and then still got the money from the state. So that was kind of interesting. So they're saying that...
No, wait a minute. So they're putting in chargers.
Yeah.
They got subcontractors.
Right.
They submit to the state that they have had these expenses. And they need the money so they can pay the contractors.
Right.
Now, the FBI is investigating them because they're submitting that they have paid the contractors when they haven't because they never got the money from the state.
Right. To get the money from the state to pay the contractors, then they showed them that they paid them.
I'm on board with this company. It's very possible. There's a lot of scam artists out there trying to pull some stuff. This sounds like some poor company got Chicago'd.
And it may have. It may have got Chicago.
Give me the $1 million.
I'll do it.
Checks to the guys. Then if you give me the money, I'll hand them to them.
Yeah. You know what? If this thing they get so convoluted, it's like how do you know? It's just crazy. Absolutely craziness. Crazy. Let's see what else from the. Well, I guess let's just keep going. Let's just keep beating them up. So Fisker now, we talked last week to Fisker, and the week before they had furloughed people. Then they come back the next week. Everybody got, well, except 50 people, got notices to leave and got white boxes to take their stuff out. They did keep 53 people, Fisker apparently, senior executives and managers, to do, you know what, we thought they were going to like try to fix the company and maybe do some things with the money that they had borrowed. I think we are going to have another asset sale coming up soon, so maybe we have the raid on Anaheim. And I know Anaheim. I know the back roads in Anaheim.
Okay, so we got to get another big truck.
Yeah, they're saying here.
They're saying they're going to file Chapter 11 this week.
Yeah, and they're saying that they left them to pursue buyers for the company's assets. So yeah, there may be something out there. We don't know, but I guess we'll start to call.
I thought that A123 owed them $140 million.
Yeah, that was something there was some convoluted thing that they owed them money.
They owed A123 $140 million and settled it for $15 million or something this last week. Yeah.
Oy vey. Oy vey, as they say, huh? Let's see.
Let's don't move on. Come on, more Fisker stuff.
Let's see. What do we got? More Fisker. What did they do?
Fisker. Yeah,
you got more
Fisker. File
Fisker.
Chapter 11. The Republican committee is going to do an investigation on Fisker. You know, they got an award of $593 million to build the Fisker vehicle and the Atlantic. Their next vehicle, they received $192 million of it, and the government wants to know where it went and when are they going to pay it back.
Oh, that's right. It was a loan.
And they've asked Henrik Fisker to come testify.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. We'll go to Washington and talk a little bit about his company.
He said he would.
Okay.
If they'll pay his travel expenses. Now, you got to admire the chutzpah of this guy. He gets $192 million. How many of you out there have thought about starting a business and what you could do with a $192 million head start?
Yeah, that would be...
What kind of business could you start, starting with $192 million in cash?
Just about anything.
Up front?
Yeah, you could get anything started. Car company?
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah.
This guy gets $192 million of, by the way, your dollars. That's the part they take out of your paycheck every week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they gave it to a man that was already wealthier than you are to make cars, of which he made about $1,500. And now they're going to have a congressional investigation into this, and they've asked him to come testify. He said he'd be happy to as long as they pay his travel expenses. He wants them to buy him a bus ticket to Washington, D.C. from Anaheim, which is not cheap.
No, exactly. Greyhound's gotten expensive.
Greyhound is very proud of that.
And he's got a Fisker.
And he has a Fisker. Why didn't he drive that? But I guess he wants mileage for the gas.
For the gas.
And
a couple extension cords.
Wants the government to pay his travel expenses for him to come testify what he did with our $192 million. The inmates have taken over the asylum.
I was just going to say, you might get a one-way ride in one of those vans with the bars inside and dark windows.
What would you do if the head of the Department of Energy called you and offered to give you $192 million for your company?
I'd take it. You
know what? I wouldn't.
I know. You guys would too.
You know I would.
I know. Yeah, no.
He's known me a long time. It'd be like,
that's right. Take the money, Jack.
Tell you what, Mr. Department of Energy, you've already taken up 7 minutes of my time. You really kind of owe me $192 million, but I'm going to consider it a patriotic contribution if you'll get off my phone and not talk to me anymore.
Quit calling me.
Please don't take up any more of my time with your silly ass stories. Number one, I'm very busy. I'm building a business that will probably succeed. If you sent me $192 million, I'd have to stop and count it, and that would pretty much stop us around.
Have to go to the bank, all kinds
of resources to deal with a check from the government.
That's right. We couldn't find
I know all this. It's great to be 57. Most of you would take the money, and it would ruin your life and any concept you had of having a business. I already know that. Brian probably has to learn this lesson one more time. Well, you've had a couple of spankings.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, how do you learn, right?
How do you learn, right? It's like I told my daughters, my book is sex education. What's that? Every time I got screwed, I wrote it down, honey. I started out in the Navy.
That's right.
I know these people. I know how they think.
You know those sailors
They got a great deal for me. Yeah,
that's right. Oy vey. Speaking of the Navy, I'm sure you're familiar with a thing called a tuk-tuk. Are they kind of like a jitney or what?
A tuk-tuk's like a little three-wheeled, it's like a motorcycle with a sidecar and a canopy on the top.
Okay, okay.
And you get in and they take you wherever you want to go.
Wherever you want to go.
A peso or 50 centavos or whatever.
Okay.
A tuk-tuk.
Are they all over the Philippines?
Tuk-tuk because they make that noise. They're little one-cylinder, like 125 motorcycles.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and with a little sidecar and a little canopy top, sometimes with fringe.
Okay, yeah.
They're all over the Philippines.
Okay. Well, what they may have is there is a company in Japan that's going to make electric tuk-tuks with lithium batteries. So I guess the tuk-tuk may go away. It might be called I don't know what's another word in Philippines in Tagalog for something silent. The silent tuk-tuk.
You know, I've got a son in the Philippines, and I bought him an electric bus.
That's right, you did.
But it had lead-acid batteries, and the batteries are shot, so it's parked.
And we told you those lead-acid batteries are not good for you.
Batteries are not any good.
So they may be having. They're talking. They're saying that they have 3.5 million tuk-tuks on the road in the Philippines.
Yes.
And there's a Terra Motors in Japan, and the Asian Development Bank is providing $100 million to try to get some of the one-cylinder tuk-tuks, I guess, off. They must be quite polluting.
They're two-cycle motorcycles.
So that number, yeah.
So they just spew black smoke. Not very efficient use of gasoline. Gasoline, $6 or $7 there.
Oh, okay.
All of it's imported. The Philippines has no gasoline of its own. And yeah, there's probably 3 million of them. You can kind of make a living with a little tuk-tuk, and you just ride around all day and take people where they want to go, which is usually 2 blocks away, right? But maybe they're carrying groceries.
Carrying something, yeah, okay.
And so, and it's a little bitty sidecar in a tiny motorcycle, usually driven by some kid. If I would get in one now, I would flip it over, I'm sure, sideways. But yeah, that's part of their their public transportation.
It sounds like 3.5 million. That's a lot of tough
It's
trucks.
a very small motorcycle with a sidecar.
Okay, that's interesting. So there's
And it's
they paint them up brightly.
Well, yeah. Oh, very brightly. Typically in 40 colors, and across the inside of the canopy, it says, "God knows who does." HUDAS, not pay.
Who does not pay? Okay.
God knows who does not pay. That means if you get in and they take you somewhere and then you get out and run away and don't pay them, God knows.
God knows. And the guy's always name is Who Does.
Who does?
The guy's name is always Who Does.
God knows who does not pay.
Don't let Who Does in then.
Right.
Oh, let's see. You know, there's always surveys about, companies smarter than everybody else and the rest of us doing what they do, to do surveys, I guess. Get paid, do surveys, publish results. Interesting result in one of the latest surveys was that 18 to 24-year-olds are most likely to purchase an EV in the future.
Well, that's not true.
How so?
Who's the most likely age group to buy an EV at all?
I don't know.
Well, you have to be 65 for Medicare to cover all the expense, but it's the elderly with the hover.
They'll go hover around races at the
They actually got in trouble for advertising the hover around that you would normally not have to pay for it at all.
That's
because, they would qualify it under Medicare.
Under Medicare, they did kind of make that.
The rest of us get a $7,500 tax credit, but they get it. Once you're 65, you get them 100% paid by Medicare, the hover around.
We ought to think about converting one to lithium, putting in a big motor and seeing what happens. It's almost like a bar stool race.
I was thinking about making our 57 Porsche replicas a assistive device, to where at 65 you can get it covered.
You can get it covered.
By Medicare.
That's right. Much better than a tax credit.
Yeah, it's a personal transportation assistive device to help you get around if you're disabled.
There you go. Why not?
And, works for me. I'm still not taking a check.
That's still not taken. I was going to say, what about the $192 million check?
They actually put this company in trouble for claiming that you could do it and Medicare would pay all of it. So they just changed the commercial where it doesn't quite say that. Yeah. But if you read between the lines, it still says that.
Yeah, sure. The guy's mouth is saying it, but they changed the
right.
Godzilla.
That's right.
Run. Let's see.
So yeah, the age group most likely to buy a electric vehicle would be your 65 and over.
There you go. It makes sense.
And, typically a hover around.
So the 18 to 24-year-olds will be second.
Would be second.
Second
most likely.
They're second. Let's see. Well, you can't go a week without some Tesla stories. I mean, you got to love
We
them.
have it every week.
Yeah,
Don't they stay in the news?
Yeah, I mean,
this guy really is good at branding and self-promotion.
Yeah, no, really is.
And I don't mean that in the usual
kind of like a huckster kind of thing. Yeah,
way. He really is good at branding and self-promotion.
Yes, really good.
Very good.
Elon Musk, very good at it.
He is in the news every week.
Yep, there's always something.
What is the little man up to now?
Well, this isn't recent news, but at the end of last month or middle of last month, there's a project in Las Vegas, kind of to centralize the downtown, and they're going to have bicycles you can ride and public transportation, and they want to have a vehicle, almost like a car share kind of vehicle. Mm-hmm. Well, they put in an order for reserved 100 Tesla Model S's. I guess it's the largest single reservation for Teslas anyone's ever made. And
so in downtown Las Vegas, I can just borrow a Model S and drive away.
They will. I think.
Why would I bring it back, man?
Well, I think that
it's like borrowed for a long time.
I think for a long time. I think they're going to have like a club. I think it's going to be like the hair club for men. I think you may have to join and profile you a little bit.
Right.
But it's an interesting thing. The other thing is, I guess that the Model S is now available in red.
That was a reserved signature color for the first 1,000 guys.
So there were red ones before. Huh?
There were, and now those are, I guess, all been sold. So Well,
They still got some red paint left over, huh?
he's got
nice
more
color.
tricks than the Energizer Bunny. He actually was on Engadget slamming, I mean, really kind of personally offended at the press for not falling over backwards over his lease program.
Oh, yeah.
He said these morons just don't understand finance or something.
It was a big deal, really.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Really, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Give it up, Elon. It was a dumb idea.
It wasn't that big of a deal.
I mean, it's not really even a dumb idea, but the way he introduced it was. So he's got a fallback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 2 weeks he's going to talk about his supercharger network, and he's hoping maybe that'll have a bigger thing.
Might make a bigger splash.
Elon, check our shows, check our blog. It's all been done. We've laid it all out for you. Just announce
Months ago, that's what just do
and
it.
you'll be fine. It'll work. In fact, the entire EV industry will have to follow you like the Pied Piper. I've got it worked out. If he does these Solar City charge stations and uses his connector and opens it up, like gives it to the DIY guys,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
who are each only going to use one anyway, just sell it to them. Then when all the guys who built their own cars can supercharge at supercharge stations, and all the Tesla guys can too, and there's 500 of them, what is GM going to do?
Yeah, they've got to kind of fall in line at that point.
Well, they don't have to give it to them.
No, it's proprietary.
They could do it for a reasonable license
Yeah,
fee.
they could be like a real OEM and
Or
make
they
it
could even
proprietary.
supply the connectors to
Yeah,
them.
that's right.
At $1,200 a piece or something. GM is not going to have any choice.
No, no one would. Yeah.
Nissan's not going to have any choice. If you put down 500 convenience stores, one every 100 miles on the interstate highway system, where you can charge at 100 kilowatts instead of this measly 25 and 50 that Chademo and SAE are talking about. The problem with Chademo and SAE, they're obsolete now.
Yeah, especially for
Half our
big-
cars, Brian, they
yeah,
could
for
not
big-
charge not only in 20 minutes, but in a half hour. They don't
Yeah.
have enough power.
Right. Yeah, there's too big of
My
packs.
cars,
Yeah.
much less a Tesla, 85 kilowatts.
Like 85 kilowatts, yeah.
In order to charge that in 20 minutes, you're talking 240 kilowatts.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Even with Elon's 100 kilowatt charge stations.
Right. It's
It's an
not
hour.
enough. Yeah.
To charge it to 80% is 45 minutes. This is a time-sensitive function. 20 minutes works great. It's actually quite analogous to your gas station stop. 30 minutes is a little bit longer.
A little bit longer, yeah.
But a few minutes. 45 minutes starts to get to be not good.
Right. Yeah.
At an hour, you haven't done anything for me that was fast.
No, I would just buy the car with the smaller battery pack, stay close to home.
Well, this is why I keep talking about these solar cells and batteries, because there isn't enough power in the world. If you have 10 people charging and you were able to put out 150 kilowatts, that's 1.5 megawatts.
Yeah, right.
There's no grid
How are you going to do that?
tie other than an aluminum plant
Yes, that's right.
where you can get that kind of power. However, if you're charging solar and augmenting, if you want, with the grid, and you're charging a massive battery pack, you pull in 10 cars and ask it to put out a megawatt. It's a surprisingly small pack.
Yeah, to be able to do that.
It's 300 or 400 amp hours. I mean,
Yeah, that's all solved.
our Escalade pack can put out 2,000
Sure.
amps.
Right.
At 200 volts, that's 40 kilowatts.
You're right.
So it's going to wind up being batteries
They're going to allow this
with
fast
solar
charge.
and grid
yeah.
feed, and then you have your charge stations hooked up to that, and they charge your cars. And the SAE and the J1772 Rev B and Chademo are kind of obsolete on contact. CHAdeMO theoretically could be expanded, but the size, cords, and so forth they're talking about. So if Elon does one that is, and J.B. Straubel's the one that's been talking about this, does one that could do higher powers, and they set up convenience stores around the country with these at it. And Solar City does all this. They've kind of got some neat relationships with banks anyway.
Right.
That isn't really to finance them, it's to finance rooftop solar.
Yeah, right.
And they go install it, and then the people pay the bank, really.
Yeah, right. The owner basically, over time, basically with the savings or whatever that you would accrue.
And it's all locked up with their utility bill.
Right.
And Solar City's worked all that out. So financing even convenience stores worth $3 or $4 million to build on ho-hos and ding-dongs, it's kind of displaced dry cleaners. If you get to 3 gas station convenience stores, it takes some accounting talent to not be a millionaire almost immediately.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, if you just want if money's what you're after, really the way is gas station convenience store. I mean, there's a guy in Texas that's done it 3 times.
Oh, really?
He's in his 80s, and he'll build it all up. He'll have a couple hundred of them and sell them off.
Oh, geez.
He'll go a few years later and start again, and it works again.
Wow. Yeah. He's got the model down, huh?
Yeah. It's 192-ounce Big Gulp.
Aren't they illegal, son?
The Bloomberg NYC. And like I said, in California, you can start out in vitamin water and peanut
yeah, exactly. Some wraps, some lettuce wraps.
It needs to get Starbucks worked in there. No, I say do them upscale. Have the washrooms like at the country club, with the folded cloth towels and the combs and the aftershave.
You just have a men's room attendant.
Right,
and then a ladies' room attendant. Yeah, there you go.
And do an upscale version of a gas station convenience store. And so you can charge stupid amounts of money for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, where you can really make the money.
Because even if it's Starbucks and even if it's a Frappuccino and even all that, it's tough to get 50 cents in a $7 cup of coffee.
That's right, in a cup of coffee. That's right.
It's tough
no
to
matter
stuff
what.
50 cents worth of stuff in
that's
that
right,
cup.
That's right. They may seem big, but they're not that big.
So the electricity's free.
Yeah.
But the coffee and the ho-hos and the fun yums.
You're going to be there for a while.
Can be 400-500% profit items.
Yeah, they're huge.
And big gulps are essentially, really the soda companies give you all that. They give you the machine. They give you
you can get everything.
If you have a hot dog stand, Pepsi or Coke, either one will fight to come put in about $5,000 worth of equipment. You don't pay anything.
No, and a lot of plumbing and stuff. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can sell their syrup, which is like, you get it in plastic bags, and I don't know, what are they?
Oh, well, it's
$20 bucks or something.
Yeah.
It makes like 1 million sodas.
You keep looking at the bag waiting for it to go down.
Right.
Is this ever going to run out?
Is it perpetual? It's a couple $100 for the syrups and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But currently, you've sold a Brazilian soda pops. I mean, here's a 89-cent Big Gulp, and it's this big, and the cup costs more than the syrup.
Sure. Yeah.
And the carbonated water. I mean, it's the cup's the biggest.
It's big. Cups are expensive.
Well, they can be 12 or 14 cents.
Yeah.
Out of that,
especially the good ones.
89,
That's right.
And the rest of it's profit.
Yeah.
So but if he did this, I mean, how can you build an electric car that can't work? And they're gonna have the station to where you can charge there anyway. They'll just have J1772 level 2s.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
To get the
whatever it
traffic
takes.
to the convenience store.
You want to get anybody in there,
if you don't have a Tesla, you're like second class citizen, no fast charge for you.
That's right. You can't sit. You have to stand.
We'll let you stand by the back door with a styrofoam cup of coffee.
That's right, with your name on it.
And you alcohol towelette.
That you can't even get any more from the Colonel.
You ain't getting in our restrooms, buddy.
Right. You might mess them up. Don't touch them; they're dirty.
And what's a Nissan and a GM to do? So and there's no counter for it. So Nissan's going to put 1,500 of these in their dealers. Their dealers are in revolt. They're out of control. Nissan has no control. You might not even be able to charge there. They may have it working. They may not.
Right. It's going to be a mess. Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
But in any event, it's a car dealership. It's not a convenience store and a rest stop.
Yeah.
It's not on the interstate highway system in the middle of nowhere.
Right. No.
It's in town.
Right.
I'm in town. I've already got a house.
Yeah, that's right. I can already charge.
Yeah. So this is the thing. He needs strategically placed convenience stores out across the hinterlands based on solar and batteries. And once he had that, and they kind of become profitable by there'll be people in gas cars stopping to get
to get the good stuff. Yeah.
And pissed they can't get
gas. So can't get any gas, but they can look at electric cars. It'll be like a little car show.
But then he is the standard.
Right.
See, they're all ready to vote on the standard. They don't got anything to standardize on. They don't even have anything that works.
No.
So the concept of standards has gotten to be their reach exceeds their grasp somewhat. You standardize something when one of the vendors has done something, and it's become so accepted it becomes the standard.
Right. They're going about it the opposite.
And then it's kind of like, hey, buddy, you got to license it to all your competitors, or we're calling the Justice Department.
Right.
Well, let's form a committee and have a standard.
That's right. Let's all get on the committee.
And the guy has to do it because that is the outcome. Ask Bill Gates how he knows. So, right. I mean, this is an absolutely lay down hand. It would be expensive the way I describe it now. It wouldn't have been just a charge station, but an upscale convenience store and massive solar and battery thing every 100 miles. That's 500 of them. They're, let's say they're $5 million apiece. This is a couple $2 billion. But it sort of self-funds.
Right.
And the finance guys understand it.
Right. Yep, they know exactly
There's
what they're talking about.
166,000 gas stations in the United States. They don't make butt on gasoline. Everybody gets this part. If you go in with a good location, locked up, a business plan, and a heartbeat, you can get a loan for a convenience
store. Yeah.
Because everybody knows what they are and what they do.
Right.
And they're going to look at the location and the business plan and check you for a heartbeat and maybe a temperature.
That's right.
And if it looks like you would last through the first 3 years until the property's worth more than the loan anyway.
Yeah, right. At some point in time, that's right. It's all cool.
It's all good. It's really a real estate play for the bank. And so, I don't know. That's a little weak. You get out in the middle of the interstate, and
if you're out in Blythe,
your traffic, in Blythe, your traffic's going to be a little low. The real estate's not going to be quite what. But I mean, it's not trouble free. But Solar City could do this, and it would probably, make their stock go wild.
I think so. Well, and you know what's interesting is, and still more Tesla news, and this goes to your point, if you needed to build them in hinterlands, there's a lot of hinterland in Texas. There's a few cities in Texas and then some hinterlands out there.
I'm always amused at the immigration reform conversations in Washington.
Okay.
There's a lot of our country, Brian, in the East Coast. See, on the West Coast, you go anywhere.
Right.
In the Midwest, you go anywhere. People that grow up on the East Coast, a lot of times, don't leave the East Coast for any reason.
Right. You go up and down the East Coast.
There's people in New Jersey that just have never been out of New Jersey.
Yeah.
They've been to New York, but they've never been. And it's just particularly in Congress, they start talking about doing things like building a fence on the border with Mexico.
Sure. Sure.
Controlling our borders. They're from Rhode Island in Connecticut.
It seems easy up there.
European viewers, note this. We have a state where you can get up in the morning and get in a fast car and head west and drive your ass off until it's late at night. And when you stop and go into the hotel exhausted, you're still in Texas.
You are, too.
And by the way, it's not going to be early next morning when you get out.
That's right.
It'll probably be sometime the next afternoon.
That's right. If you're still going west or not out, go north. It'll be another day.
I mean, we got another one called Kansas. That's bad enough.
That's right.
Kansas is main feature is miles and miles of miles and miles.
That's right, miles and miles of Kansas.
But Texas is actually 3 Kansases laid sideways.
That's right.
You get in the car and drive all day as fast as you can, go to bed exhausted, get up the next morning, and do it again, and you're in the same state.
Yeah. No, Texas is big.
The Texas-Mexican border. There's areas of that land where there has never been a Mexican or a white man at all. They're unexplored areas along the Rio Grande where no man has ever been yet. They have species we haven't discovered.
There's some grant money there. For some explorers.
They send scientific teams down to catalog new species that have never been seen by man. This is like 1,100 miles of a river that wide. And who are you going to get to build the wall in that heat? The only ones that'll do it are Mexican. The whole conversation is stupid.
And what if they ended up on the wrong side of the wall when they were done?
Well, what if you wound up on the wrong side of the wall when they were done?
It's distorting this whole thing out is too much to deal with.
Saying where the wall is.
That's right.
Especially
a couple
if you
of
don't
surveyors.
speak Spanish and they don't speak English.
A couple of surveyors that don't speak Spanish or English.
There was actually a thing on YouTube or something. These guys go out in the middle of the desert to build the wall. Along comes a Olds 88 with a bunch of Mexicans. They hire them to build it. And they wound up in long chairs on the wrong side of a wall that was about 9 feet long. I didn't know how to get
to the other side.
It's just comical. It's hilarious. These are huge stretches of bleak country, and so Musk.
Well, he wants to. I mean, they want. I guess that. When we talked about this before, the dealer laws. That in Texas, apparently, it's pretty bad because. I didn't realize.
What all can't he do?
Well, what he can't do, and I guess they have two of the Tesla stores, one in Houston, one in Austin. They're prevented by law in Texas law, from engaging in any sales activity, and that's defined by they can't talk about pricing, test driving. The service centers can't even evaluate the vehicles for service. Mm-hmm. So in all that space, there are some population centers, and they'd like to sell some cars.
So they've introduced legislation in the Texas House.
Yes.
And he's down testifying. Did he wear a cowboy hat and suck on a straw?
I can't find a bolo tie. I can't find a picture of the testimony, but I hope so.
Is, beyond pandering, he's talking about a Model T pickup truck.
Yeah, he's talking about
Model S sedan, Model T pickup.
The pickup. That's right. Talking about a Tesla pickup truck.
For Texas.
A very sporty one, too.
And alluding to the fact that they passed this law that he might even build a new plant there.
Well, at least consider them.
Well, yeah, he didn't commit.
He didn't commit. At least consider them. You gotta love it.
You gotta love it.
There must be a lot of people that could buy Teslas down there.
About $43 a share today. It's it was up to 47, fell back down to 41. It's about 43. Tesla is, and the shorts dropped from about 45% down to 43%. I think the tiptoe is starting.
It's starting to exit the room.
The exits, on the shorts.
Yeah.
What else you got? We got to wrap up.
Okay, well, we got some videos and stuff. I guess everybody should kind of remember Matt Hauber and you probably saw
the guy that almost electrocuted me with the.
Yeah, he's still on our intro. Matt, they're
cable cutters on a live 240.
and all I could do was watch.
We sure know how to have fun.
I was looking at it through the viewfinder. They sent us a video about a little VW project that they're doing.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Hi, I'm Michael Breen with EV West, and today we have a treat for you. We have a 1963 Volkswagen Classic Beetle that we just converted for a customer, and we want to take a little bit of time to show you some of the nice features of this car. Let's check it out. All right, so here we are at the front of our Beetle, and the nice thing about this conversion is we utilized the factory gas tank location. We removed it and created a custom battery box that actually uses the factory bolt locations for the gas tank. So we didn't even have to drill any holes or do any modifications to the front. And what we did was we managed to fit a spare tire in here, which is kind of rare amongst Volkswagen conversions. We also have our aluminum battery box up here that's custom made to fit in here. And we have our little marine board lid. I'm going to take this off for you, and you can take a look. We have our box in here. We have our fuse inside the battery box. We have our steel hold downs and our 6061 aluminum battery straps. Makes for a really clean, really efficient setup in the front of this car. That's about all there is to see up here. I know some of you guys in the last video were asking to really see the batteries. There they are. Again, not much to see, but let's go take a look at the back of the car where the motor and the rest of the components are. If you've never done an electric car before, we estimate that this is a 1 to 2 week conversion with our kit. It's a straight drop-in kit, everything bolts in, and there's very, very minimal alteration to the car, and we really like to see that. So here we are taking a look at the dashboard, and you'll notice we really maintained a factory look. We just have one gauge in there. Just to the right of the speedometer, we've installed a Xantrex Link Pro, and of course this gives us our voltage and state of charge and other important details about the battery pack. Okay, so here we are at our rear battery box. This is situated right behind the rear seat, and it really doesn't take up much cabin space, so it's nice and convenient back here. We've currently got the lid off the box so you can see some of the detail work inside the battery compartment. All right, so here we are back at the engine compartment on our Volkswagen, and this is where this conversion really shines. We spend a lot of time back here on aesthetics to really make the engine compartment look clean. So we're going to take a look at some of the components. Starting at the top, we have our PFC 2500 charger by Elcon. Great little charger. We can charge at 110 volts and 220. This conversion is equipped with a level 2 J1772 charge port right here, so it's nice and accessible for the customer. We have our DC converter over here in the back corner, and then we have our liquid cooling, our radiator vents, and our pump and reservoir over here. And that liquid cools our Curtis 1238-6501 controller with our AC50 AC motor underneath it. So what we did is we really spent a lot of time cleaning this up. We have this kit. This will be available online at evwest.com, and you can basically do the same thing to your Bug. Make it nice and clean and mean as ever. All right, let's go for a ride in this thing and check it out, see what it's really like. All right, so here we are getting ready to take a little drive in the Bug. Again, no starting the engine, just turn the key on, put it in first gear, and we're ready to go, just like that. Again, we're not using the clutch. We don't have to feather the clutch when we roll away. It's a nice thing about this. You know, online we get a lot of questions that people ask about transmissions and why we like them, why we use them. We really prefer a car with a manual transmission. That way you can kind of adjust the gear to the speed that you drive and the amount of torque that you need at the moment. Generally speaking, you kind of just leave it in 1 or 2 gears, usually like 2nd or 3rd gear. You know, these little AC motors are so torquey you can actually start off in 3rd gear, which is kind of nice. That way you don't have to shift, you don't have to worry about using the clutch. We have customers that don't even know how to use a standard transmission and they have no problem driving an electric car, so that's kind of nice to know. So here I am in 3rd gear. I'm just going to give it gas and we're just going to cruise away. Again, there's just no lack of power, no lack of acceleration. 3rd gear will take you all the way up to 60 miles an hour in this car, so really not much of a need to spend a lot of time shifting and finding that perfect gear. You know, I got to tell you, in my younger days, I spent a lot of time in Volkswagens, but never liked them as much as this one. They were always slow and stinky, etc. But this car is great, nice and quiet, plenty of power. It just surges when you hit the pedal, and really starting to think I should be in a Volkswagen again. All right, well that about wraps up our drive in our 1963 Volkswagen Beetle. I gotta say, I'm really liking this car. I don't want to give it back to the customer, but well, I guess I got to. Anyways, let's head back to the shop and finish up this walkthrough. Man, I gotta tell you, before we get back to the shop here, you know, we have a lot of opportunities to drive a lot of different cars here at EV West, and this one, it just really speaks to your soul. It is just so much fun. There's something about it. It's light, it's maneuverable, it's a great little chassis. You know, Volkswagens have been around forever. Anybody can work on them, and this is a perfect platform for a DIY electric car conversion. All right, well, that concludes our video walkthrough of our 1963 Volkswagen Beetle. For more updates on vehicles that we're doing, check us out at evwest.com or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/electricvehiclewest. For EV West, I'm Michael Bream, and we'll see you next time.
That's pretty cool. I kind of like the kit idea. Matt's been busy down there, you know. Like,
I talked to him today. I told
you
him
did?
that really kind of the key to this is to make this a little easier for people. And his kit idea is brilliant. And this Beetle, which the customer is taking to some car shows today, he's proud as hell of it.
Okay,
this thing just drives great. It's a very neat installation. Matt does some great, you know, fabrication work. He's got this down to where it just looks like a great, neat installation. But he's not real big on record keeping, so he didn't know what all the parts cost. And he doesn't really have the kit up on the website
on the store yet? Okay.
So here's your video of the Beetle kit that makes it so easy. He said less than 2 weeks. Anybody can do this bug conversion. And he's got every hole mapped out, every bolt. The bolts taped to the parts in the right place, but you can't have it because he was busy washing his hair. He was at the gym. But if he ever does get the kit done, this is a great idea. Now, it's hard work.
Yeah, to get those kits together, yeah.
And again, HP EVS was going to do a kit on the Scion XB.
The XB,
I have never seen it. I've never heard another word. It's been a year. And,
yeah, I saw it out there when I was at the shop, but I don't know what's happened since then.
I don't know how to tell you guys, but the ones of you that think it's a great idea to do a kit and get into the work and decide it's too much trouble and don't do it, you got this far from success and quit on me. If you had done the kit and put it out there, it would take a little bit for the idea to get out there. But there's a lot of people that would like to do something like this that simply look at it and say, hey, I can't do an EV. It's too much of a treasure hunt. I'm going to get, you know, they're going to take my money, not send me the parts. I don't know how to do wiring. I can't read wire diagrams. I can't do this. If you do a kit with a book,
right,
where you know, and just like this video, put it up where people can see you did it. There it is.
Right.
It's and particularly, you know, like when we think of a kit car, it's like a year-long project. This is a couple weekends.
Yeah, buy a car and then do it. Yeah, yeah.
And you could get, for a specific car, the process down to a couple weekends if you don't have to research and decide on every component. Learn how many battery, how to size the battery pack, how far it's going to go. You just give it to them. It takes a big load off of it, and it's not all that much. You haven't taken away any of the fun part.
Right. No, exactly. The building, it's still the fun part, yeah.
Taking away the dredge part.
Yeah, yeah.
And left them with a thing they can have a belief system that they can do it and have a path to do it, and I think it would work very well. We should probably do a kit.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we like the plug and play idea, and we do a lot. You know, we've done, well, we do kind of. I mean, we do the speedsters over and over again.
Yeah, but every time we do them, we improve.
I know we do them different. Well, we're testing things too. Yeah.
But his bug installation
cool.
looks very good. So that was, we have another video.
Oh, cool.
This is going on so long, we have to stop and do a history of the world part duh here. years ago, when we were trying to get some attention for the show, we did a contest, and we actually gave away $20,000 worth of components.
The Dream Build giveaway.
And we got several people. Evnetics supported us on that. They gave us a couple of controllers, and NetGain.
NetGain, the motor.
Masterflux.
Masterflux, the air conditioning system.
Yeah, we had
batteries.
Well, we were the sponsor.
That's right.
Everybody chipped in a little bit of money, a couple grand
chipped
from
in.
each of these guys in addition to their product for the
so
batteries.
we could get the batteries covered, yeah.
And then we wound up paying the bulk of the batteries. We gave them, what, 50?
Yes.
50, 160 amp hour
yes,
Sky Energy.
Sky Energy at the time. Yep.
Sky Energy
160s, 180s.
Yeah. And we put up this, and we put up a little questionnaire, and then we let our viewers vote on the finalists. But we wound up, and I thought, each person would write 25 words or less, what they would do with the package that they got.
Right.
Some of the submissions were 25 pages.
We had, what did we have? We had close to 900 people, 900 submissions.
Something submissions.
Yeah.
That were complete. If you didn't answer every single thing, you weren't a submission.
Right.
We had a couple thousand people fill out parts of it.
Right. Yeah. They
quickly
stopped.
Became obvious. I got one quick cut here.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't answer every single question.
Yeah.
I got one way to not have to read that.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, and that cut it down to 900.
That cut it down to 950 something.
Jeez.
And I wound up with a stack of paper. It took
me
2.5 months to read this. And I'm like, we asked them the question, how can we award the thing without reading the reply?
Right, yeah. I wasn't going to go in a hopper and pick out
So I think
random.
Me and George Hamster are the only ones who actually read all this. I gave all this to the sponsors and I asked them to pick two. Each of them picked 2 finalists, and we picked 2 finalists. And I had to read 950 submissions, averaging probably 3-4 pages.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Submission.
Yeah.
And then we had a contest. Well, turns out the guy who did the best video.
That's right. That's right. His video.
The guy who really ran the best contest was Mike Packard or something out in Arizona. He had the Jeep, and he wanted to upgrade it to
yes, I think so.
lithium, and he led the whole thing.
Yes.
And Brandon Hollinger jumps in at the end and does a video on YouTube and stole it.
It really was. He came like out of nowhere too. Yeah.
And he's talking about an Austin FX taxi cab that he's going to convert and use for weddings and stuff as like a limo in.
He's in Pennsylvania, in one of the smaller towns. It was not Carlisle,
but close to Philadelphia.
Close to Philadelphia. Yeah, I can't remember where it was. Yeah.
So, and he just stole it. And the reason is he was good at making videos.
Yes.
He still is. And he's not so good at making EVs. Actually, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is his 3rd or 4th conversion at this point. This guy is a musician, saxophone player. That's what he does for a living. But he's really into EVs and the whole political gestalt of, environmentalism.
Of greening and things, yeah.
As well as the oil companies and the transfer of wealth to the Middle East and the whole thing. He's kind of on fire over it and has done, he's got a Saab that does over 100 miles on the chart. Yeah. He originally did it in lead, and he upgraded that to lithium.
That's right,
And now he's on in the lithium train, but his first conversion was lead acid, and he drove it for a year or 2, and then he converted that. He's came to the first EVCon the night that it was awarded, and then he was back last year with his Saab, and again made videos of the EVCon and so forth. And he's just he does good videos with kind of jazzy music. Younger guy. And
Brandon
let's take a look. Here's Brandon Hollinger. He's still fighting the rust on the Austin.
On the Austin. There we go.
Piece by piece, we continue to restore the 1971 British taxi, getting it ready to run on 100% electricity. I had the brake master cylinder restored and re-sleeved. We experimented with some ideas to adapt an aftermarket Mustang transmission clutch kit. Got to play with some cool needle bearings in the process. After finally breaking our fancy mechanism, we decided to use a hydraulic solution, just like the brake pedal setup. As the engine compartment of an electric car inherently draws lots of attention, I'm continuing my tradition of painting it battleship gray, just like my other builds. A light color generally makes things easier to see, and also illustrates how clean this technology is. I thought it was kind of interesting to see the small imperfections and wrinkles in the metal that I assume occurred while pressing these complex body shapes.
Your big ideas are useless to me now. My baby saw the future. She doesn't wanna live there anymore. It's lousy science fiction. Gets on your skin. Into your bones, I'll break you, man. Shoot me with your poison now. I dance on Vaseline, and I'm tripping out, working on a revolution. Gonna let the day begin. And you're dangerous. Shoot me with your poison now, but I dance on Vaseline, and I'm slipping out. Think it happens somewhere else. This madness is attractive until the day it happens to yourself. And our nights seem sexy, but checker in the cool gray light on a legislative body, and all at once you're lost for
Gas prices got you down. Tonight at 11 feet, a Lancaster man took matters into his own hands and made gasoline a thing of his past.
So there you go, a little paint and primer.
Yeah, exactly. No, but he's working along, and this has been his baby. It's really been the that was going to be the original project for the Dreamville giveaway.
Then that's the one that won the contest.
That's what won. Yep.
And got the thing, it's just going on so long, and he sends videos so sparingly that we're going to have a whole series on how it was done, but it's stretched out over 2 years.
To be over 2 years.
We get one every 3 months. And but the beat goes on. Who knows? Maybe by EVTV this year.
You never know.
And I'm pretty sure he'll be back. He had a good time. I think he was out last year. So that's Brandon Hollinger and the Austin FX London Taxi.
Yeah, keep going, Brandon.
You know, I've actually looked at a couple of those cars. I'd like to do one, but it would look too much like I'm stealing his idea.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Nice taxi, Brandon. Oop, we got one, too.
Yeah. What if we finish before him?
And there's that distinct possibility.
Well, it'll be a close race.
Yeah,
It takes us a year to do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
While we're filming everything else and working on everything else.
That's true.
Speaking of which, have you got anything more?
I mean, not really. I think we'll probably have a 2-hour video. You guys are probably really into this now.
The thing about things.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Brain, we don't have much of a thing going this week, but I thought we'd talk a little bit about the thing.
You mean we have nothing but a thing?
Nothing but a thing.
It's getting better.
Brandon Hollinger sent us a video and stuff. Did a Chalk Talk last week. That got some reaction.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that was nice. That was a great episode.
Shane's been working here. Underneath the vehicle, like all VWs, we've got the pan. These things in the Gia are like wider, right?
Yeah, they share a pan that the Carmen Gia, I think 4 inches on a side, maybe. They're quite a bit wider, but I don't remember what the dimension is. But the thing does share the pan with the Carmen Gia.
It has a tunnel down the middle. I had Shane put us in an 1.25 inch Schedule 40 conduit, the plastic gray conduit, which is actually for electrical bearing cables in the ground.
Sure.
Down the tunnel.
Okay.
And had him preload some links of, we've gone to this, for this project, 1/0 X-Rad cable. It's from Champlain Cable Company. We get it on big rolls now, and I've kind of become the guy that sells this to the EV guys.
Oh, okay.
It's been a strange thing. They wanted us to buy so much of it. This is a recurring theme. And Champlain makes this cable like twice a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they only make it twice a year, and we get it from one of their distributors.
Okay.
Who really didn't want to deal with us.
Okay.
Actually, they like dealing with this
they like
real
it.
well now.
They like it now.
We're selling quite a bit of this
like
cable.
it now. Yeah, we had 100 feet go out today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Of the
1.0.
Yeah. It's a shielded cable. It has a shield around the cable, and it's the proper orange that all the what do you call
like the
them?
emergency responders or
emergency
something.
responders are trained to look for in an electric vehicle. So it's kind of important to use, at this point, an orange cable. We used to use the black and red welding cables.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lot higher quality cable. It bends a little better, and it's good to 600 volts UL or 1,000 volts on some other standard, and 150 degrees centigrade.
Ah,
and,
cool.
You know, a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, that is.
Chemically resistant. But it's also shielded, like a coax cable.
Right.
It has our normal big copper center conductor, and then a little, like steel net wove
like a mesh.
braid mesh.
Braided. Yeah.
And that does the shielding on it. And so we've been using 2/0 and even 4/0 on the Escalade, where we're doing 2,000 amps.
Yeah.
And this is like wrestling an anaconda.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. That's craziness.
So it's kind of good to be back. We're on the thing. We're going to do a high voltage pack, and so we can use fairly small cells. I think I've showed this to them before. They're little 60 amp hour cells. Now this is kind of a recent development. The CA cells, the previous SE series cells, a 60 amp hour cell would do about 5C. You know, pretty good.
Yeah, that's respectable.
But at 5.5C, the SE series would sag about 24%.
Oh, yeah.
And so at 300 amps, you'd really be sagging.
Yeah.
These will do, we've tested them to 12C.
Yeah, wow.
And I think they're good for 10C for 30 seconds.
Yes.
Just no harm, no foul.
Yeah, right.
And so these will do 600 amps. Well, our motor and our controller, we're talking about we'll put 100 of these cells in here for a nominal pack of 320. It'll finish up after charging at 332 volts or 333 volts.
Right, right. For 100 cells, sure.
Well, 300 amps is, we're kind of topped out on what the controller can do.
Yeah, right.
So that's, and when you're sizing your battery packs, this is probably the central consideration is what's your peak current draw going to be.
Right. Really what your controller can
What
handle.
your controller
That's
can
really
put
what
out
your
at the
can
max.
put out.
You
Right.
want to be sure your batteries don't starve your controller.
Right.
But you don't need to do 2,000 amps if you're putting it in a controller that can't do but 350.
Right.
You know. So and similarly, your cables are rated by ampacity. The 2-aught will do 390 amps, and the 1-aught is rated at 339.
Okay. Yeah.
In fact, what they use on the DMOC 645 to the motor is a 1-AUG.
Yeah, I noticed that, yes.
And that's rated at about 289 amps. And so that'll work pretty well. We could do this car in 1-AUG. I don't have any 1-AUG, so we're using 1-AUG.
Okay.
I just ordered some 1-AUG. It would be enough, and the smaller the cable, it's just the easier it is to work with in the car,
Oh,
the
yeah,
easier it
God.
is to route, the smaller the radius you can do, everything gets easier. In any event, we went back to an access plate at the rear of the tunnel that's under the back seat.
Yes, in the VW, yes.
And then we cut some holes for some great big gland nuts and routed it to the back of the car through some heater vents that normally carry heat from the engine up forward.
Right, okay.
Right?
Cool.
So, and we've got
That's
a battery
nice.
box in the back.
Yes.
So then we're going to go up through the vehicle into the bottom of the battery box at one end and back down through the vehicle. So the battery box in the back won't even have any cables coming in or going out.
Nice. Nothing at least people could get to then. Yeah, cool.
You won't be able to reach them.
Cool.
We'll put a couple of bus bars underneath and forward of the controller, and you won't be able to get to them
Get to
either.
those either, no. That's nice.
So it'll be pretty much hidden. The negative end comes up over here through this
Yeah.
and goes through our shunt. I'm going to use a 500 amp 50 millivolt shunt. That's kind of a precision one that we got a few of. And then that comes in here into this box in one end, and we'll go down and then back along the side and come out here. And again, we've used these, they're PG-21 size.
Right.
Phenolic or polypropylene or something gland nuts.
Yes. Yeah.
And that keeps them from chafing or, you know, bending too sharply or wearing there at the entrance of the box.
Yeah, they're nice.
And
they're
it
really
seals them.
nice.
That's what people use to do these IP67 enclosures on
Right.
things. And you just drill a hole in the box and it's got a little nut and tightens down there. It gives you a good pass through the box. So we go from our negative, most terminal, through the shunt, into this box. Go through this box, loop around to this box.
Up here, right.
We'll go down this row, back that row, back this row, and this will be our most positive in the front box.
All right.
And then we're going to go through that maintenance switch and that contactor and down here back through the thing to the
Through
positive
the
tunnel.
Yeah, okay.
And that positive cable will go up through the rear box, go up back in that box, and then back down to a positive terminal underneath. So a little bit of convoluted routing, but it gives us a lot of a very well balanced battery system.
Right,
we'll
right.
have about 40 in the back, about 60 in the front. Of course, our motor and controller in the back.
Right, right.
And
That'll be good.
that'll work pretty well. I want to talk a little bit about this. We did this for the first time, I guess, in the Escalade. This is a inertia switch. They're very ordinary. They're used in all cars, just about.
Right, right.
And it's a switch where if you have impact, it opens.
Yes.
And they hook it up to fuel pumps. When you have a wreck in a normal internal combustion engine car, it simply disconnects 12 volts from the fuel pump. And that cuts
Right.
off the
Cuts-
fuel
cuts
to
off
the
fuel in the
engine.
engine.
If you're sitting in the car with your foot all the way down on the accelerator, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The engine isn't going to go howling and the car tearing around further and stuff, because in just a second or two, you're out of gas.
That's right. You're done.
And it's a real simple system. It has a magnetic ball in a cage.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you hit something, it knocks that ball out, and the switch kind of flips, and the ball can fall back in. It's still set.
It's still done. Yeah.
But it has this rubber thing on the top. You can come, press this, and reset it, and put the ball back,
the ball
in, the
back
cage
in the cage.
and reset the little. It's like a little mouse trap with this
Right.
ball.
That's cool.
And so if you bang somebody in a parking lot, fender bender, now your car's disabled because your fuel pump won't run, you press that switch, and you drive home.
You're good to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Not everything about internal combustion engines cars is bad. We don't really have a fuel pump.
No.
And in fact, I'm kind of averse to adding one.
Yeah, that's right. Huh?
I don't need it, and I don't want it.
That's right. Well, just another expense.
So what do we do? We're going to take a red slap switch and put it on the dash and just pick 12 volts out from underneath the dash, run it through the slap switch, which is normally closed, and you have to hit it to open
Right,
it.
to open it, yeah.
And you can just whack it. It's a big red button. You don't have to be at all artful about it. Just slap it, and it will open that switch. Now we'll run that 12 volts through this wire over here to the contactor. And that's our old buddy, the Tyco kilowatt contactor,
Right.
which does high currents. It'll do, 500 amps. Well, we're doing 300, so no heavy breathing
we're
there.
good, yes.
And but the ground side of the contactor, I'm running through the inertia switch to ground.
Okay, all right.
Now, this terminal of the battery
Right.
pack, I'm going to run to the other side of the main little switch. Now, the middle of my battery pack, this being the 1.5 and the one in the back being the back half, I can switch off manually from the driver's seat with that switch that we put right there.
Right, our guest switch, yeah.
I could also break it by slapping the slap switch,
Yes, yes.
which
that'll
would be
do it,
even
yeah.
easier and quicker.
Right.
And I could have a wreck and be totally unconscious with my foot fully depressed on the accelerator and our motor trying to tear itself apart, except the inertia switch is going to open, removing the ground from the contactor, opening the contactor and disconnecting our pack
Right.
in the middle.
Nice.
We'll put a fuse between two cells here in this box because I can walk up to the front of the car, pull the lid, and see the fuse. But it's under a lid. Nobody can
No
be
one
up
can get to it, yeah.
fooling around with it,
Right.
getting their fingers in it. This box is our show box. I've gotten to wear on now just about
Yeah,
every car because everybody asks, could I see
Can I
the
see
battery?
the batteries, yep. Yeah, we have
So-
done that on all of them.
We've got a piece of polycarbonate. There'll be 3 very neat rows there. It'll look to them as if we'd done this on purpose and we knew what we were doing.
Right.
Don't correct that story
That's right,
for
that's
us.
right. That's our story, we're sticking with it.
That's our story. We're sticking to it. Don't help us. And so it'll look like a nice, neat installation of about 39 60 amp hour cells. And I like working with these 60 amp hour cells. I didn't think I would because there's a Brazilian of them, but actually I do. And I don't have straps on them yet. In fact, I'm doing my zero balance in the car, which is rare for me. But this thing I'm getting into, we may do a lot of things.
Okay.
It's like cool easy car to work on. I'm working at waist level here.
Right, yeah.
Here's the battery.
It's not low to the ground.
Waist level. I'm not bent over, prying into something, underneath something, some BS like that. So here, I use all kinds of things. I've got a little drainer that I made that's sort of automatic.
Right.
And I've got a Vichy resistor that I can do it manually. But these are about half charge. Now, half charge on a 60 amp hour cell's got about 30 amp hours in it.
Yeah.
So these are not hard to drain down.
Yeah, not like doing 180s.
Yeah, exactly.
That are close to 200 amp hours.
Way away from draining
or the
400 amp hour cell. Do that all day one day. These are pretty easy. But the easiest thing is this Cell Pro Power Lab 8. We actually carry this in the store. It's been a popular seller, and for good reason. It's not really an EV thing at all. It's done by the radio control helicopter guys.
Yeah, and they've done a lot of cool things.
And they've got a little tiny connector here to hook up to like 8 little batteries in parallel and stuff. We don't do any of that. They do have stuff. You just have to collect it, and we've kind of collected it into a kit for you. But this is a big set of power cables with clamps that we can use a 12-volt battery with. This is one of the 12-volt batteries we made out of A123 cells. It's about 60 amp hours, but it's 12 volt. And the magic there is this can take energy out of these cells and restore it into this battery.
Right.
Now it's got a little bleeder in it. It can do about 10 amps.
Yeah.
And that would be fine. In 3 hours, I could drain one of these down. However, with the battery, you can do 30 amps. Technically, you can do 40 amps. But our cables that I've made up, they have these banana jacks. They really don't want to do.
You can only do so much. Yeah, coming out of
now
the box.
Now the ones from Revo, now I made these, and they have little clips on them. We get them from Revo to do that too, and they have like little fuses on them. You probably want to change that fuse to a bigger fuse. But that's and you may even want to use those to make your own cables. These are a lot longer, and I can reach around with them. I can just leave this sitting here. But by hooking up to the battery, you can do what they call regen discharge. And it simply does it. I've got a profile set up for, I think, A123 cells. LiFePO 4 is fine.
Right.
It's some factors. Yeah. So I reset this. It's this power source battery. I press enter. A123 40 amp hour cells. That's what I was using it for. With the USB and a laptop to do curves. You can actually graph discharge and charge and cycle cells and have them charge and then wait and then discharge and wait and then charge back up.
Okay.
And so and do all this on a laptop computer with this and this. None of this is optional. If you buy it from us, you get the whole kit. It just comes with the stuff I know you're going to need.
Yeah, you're going to play with it.
Otherwise, and you can buy this from Revo. It may be $12 cheaper or something their way, but you got to hunt all over their website. So you order the stuff, you get it, then you find out what you need to do, what you want to do. Well, you go order that, you get that, and then you find out you can do another thing, but you got to have another.
Got some other piece. Just
you don't
get it all right here.
You don't get any options. You got to buy the full thing. If you buy it from us, but sooner or later you'll go to that bag for every part of it. And the laptop gig is cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah.
But we don't need it out here. So I'm just going to select that profile. I already know. Parallel packs, no. What they're talking about is the output here. Are you doing 8 batteries in parallel? And they'll try to do a balance of them or something. and we're not doing that. Set charge rate 30 amps. I'll take that since I'm not charging. Set discharge rate 30 amps. Yeah, I'll take that. And it says start charge only. I'm going to use my I've got an Deeker thing here. It's got charge, monitor, regen, discharge is what I want. I press enter. It says use banana jacks, and it's already filled out. Yes. I press enter, and it starts checking. Is this an A123 cell? Oh, yeah.
Close enough.
And now a few seconds delay. And it will actually display the amp hours. It'll show me the, and you kind of, again, with the increase, decrease buttons, cycle through these. It'll show you your source battery voltage. I'm at 13.1, and it's, I'll get a safety code 82 for something here. I don't know what I've done wrong. And, but that's the kind of the operation. You can go through this thing, and you don't want to overcharge your battery here.
That battery, yeah.
At some voltage, which 4 cells at 3.5, say, is 14 volts.
Right, 14.
I'm at 12.1. That ought to work. I wonder why I'm getting a thing. Oh, regen discharge, yep. And a lot of times you get these safety alerts and stuff if your clips aren't on, the terminal's good or something like that. It's probably something like that. But it'll show you your battery voltage. The current into here will only be like 5 or 6 amps. Why is that? Well, it's at 12 volts.
Yeah.
We're taking it out at 3.
At 3, yeah.
At 3 volts.
Yeah.
And up to 30 amps. Under current pack removed. Yeah, I've got a connection problem here. I'm not going to fool with it right now. And so this is a great little device. And the neat thing is you can walk off and leave it.
Yeah,
it will.
that's cool.
Now you do have to make sure this is set in the parameters. I have it set to discharge to 2.5 volts.
Oh.
So it'll pull
Yes,
30 amps out of there until it gets down to 2.5 volts. And then it just quits. And I'll come back and find that battery at about 2.9 or 2.93 or something. I could run it again, but I'm just going to go through and do them all at about that, and then maybe drain them down a little bit more manually, which on a 60 amp hour cell will be like touching it with
it
a
won't take much.
resistor.
Yeah.
So that's our Cell Pro Power Lab 8, 1,344 watts. And it makes it easy to bottom balance your cells. And the reason we're doing it in the vehicle is because the thing makes it ezy.
Yeah, it's like a workbench.
It's right here on my workbench. Yeah.
That's right.
So we've got a kind of an angled battery box here, a square one where the fuel tank was. We hit them with the truck bed liner.
Yeah, the liner. Yeah, that's
really cool. So they're nice and black. So they'll disappear.
They'll disappear.
This one, when we put the lid on really well, this one's going to have the polycarbonate. You'll be able to see it. Back here, I've got the Brusa charger.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, we got that from AZD. Well, we're using their motor and controller.
Yeah.
This is a neat charger. They're very high quality. They have discontinued them. They will not sell them past August of this year.
Bruce's?
Yep.
Oh, no.
They will repair them up to 2016. They're coming out with some new version. This one, it's a good charger, and it's a good charger for this application. It's about 3 kilowatts. We'll have about a 19 kilowatt battery, so about a 6 or 6.5 hour charge time for the whole thing.
Yep.
You kind of get into a little trouble with these in our other builds, because it has it's designed for high voltage. It'll charge up to 520 volts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they list a lower voltage that it's not really true. You can charge it down to quite low voltages. But what happens is you reach the current limit. It has 2 limits, a power limit and a current limit.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And it's simply to protect the semiconductors in there. At 500 volts, you can't go past 3,000 watts, or I think it's 3.3. So whatever that is in current, which would be 8 or 9 amps.
Right. Yeah, just
As you decrease the voltage that you're charging to get the same 3.3 kilowatts, the current would go up.
Sure.
But it has a hard limit of 11
it's got
amps.
it. Okay, no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
So you want to charge at 200 volts, it works fine, except you're limited to 11 amps
take
at
you a
200
while.
volts
Yeah.
is 2,200 watts.
Yeah.
You got a 3.3 kilowatt charger that in your car will only do 2,200 watts.
2200, yeah. Wow.
If you're charging at 126, this gets worse.
Yeah, that's right. Oops.
Now we got a 1,500 watt charger, but we bought a 3.3 kilowatt one.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the issue on the Brusa. It does have some quirky software.
Yeah, it
which
always
is
has, yeah.
Not really hard to set up so much as every time I load it, I got to load it 3 or 4 times to get it to come up.
Right.
And
yeah.
it was like written 8 years ago, and they never did.
Yeah, we
update
used
it.
the Bruce in our first build.
On our first build was
the
a Brusa.
Speedster. Yeah, nice
And,
charger.
they are a nice charger. They've got nice connectors. They're very solidly bit, and they're quite programmable. Come to find out, I loved all the different things you could do with them. And we tried a lot of different things.
We did.
And guess what we found out? That don't matter.
That's right. It was fun while it lasted.
See, the lead acid world, there's a lot going on those lead plates. Sulfates
Right,
and crystals
right.
and so forth. So there was a million different theories of how you ought to charge the battery. Do a little bit at first, then speed it up, then slow it down, then pulse it, then
Right,
charge it
right.
to the top, then trickle charge it for hours to equalize it, and then do a maintenance thing on it. And you can do all these things with the Brusa charger. You can put in time delay. You can stop the charge, wait 30 minutes, and then resume.
Yeah, I remember we were doing that. Yeah,
You can do all
we're
these
giving
kind
little
of-
rest periods and things. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's very flexible.
Yeah.
It's very neat. Lithium batteries do not gain anything from any of that. They simply don't have those issues, and so all those capabilities are entirely lost.
Yeah,
on it.
all those variables are
You charge
useless,
at a
yeah.
constant current, which is whatever it'll put out, 11 amps, until it gets to a voltage, and you hold that voltage until it decreases to a specific current, 0.05 C, by the way. 0.05 times 60 would be 3 amps.
3 amps, yeah.
So we would charge at 11 amps until we reach our voltage, which we'll probably do these to, with 100 of them, 350 volts, 3.5. I might even say 3.45. From our paper we reviewed
last week,
3.45 volts. We'll charge at 345 volts. And then we'll hold that until the current decreases to 0.05 C or 3 amps. And that'll be it.
That's it. Yeah.
So I can have 7 steps and all this stuff.
Remember all
in
that?
the Brusa. It's just got an amazing amount of
it really does.
flexibility, and we don't need any of that.
Right.
But we do need to be able to program it.
Right. Absolutely.
And that worked just fine. Shane also put one of our David Kurzel billet aluminum J1772 ports here where the gas cap was. I may have him change that. I've got one of those big caps like we put in the
the marine caps
Cobra.
that the Cobra had. Yeah, the marine cap. Yeah.
We may put the big marine cap here and reset that, but it'll run over. There's this little AVC2 device that has got a relay in it that we can use to like send a disable signal to the generalized electric vehicle control unit and keep the car from driving away.
Exactly. Yeah.
And beyond that, it simply spoofs the J1772
Yep.
EVSE
Yep.
into charging, and we'll have that hooked up to the Brusa. And this has got so much room here, I can just lay this Brusa out here, and we're down to probably a DC to DC converter
Yeah.
that we'll mount up here too to make our 12 volts.
Yeah, that's run that into the bus, and that's about it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have some angst getting little wires back and forth, front and back, through that conduit.
Through our
and stuff.
conduit. Yeah.
that could be a little tricky because it's pretty full with the two 1-augs in there. But we should be able to snake some one way and another. And so we'll add a DC to DC converter here. The heat vents that came from the engine that I used to run the cables to the back.
Yeah, the ran that go through the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of left those open. And we're going to put a couple of those PTC heaters under the seat, under the back seat, to blow through the normal vents. So our we've got a little lever there that you can switch between heat and
fresh air,
defrost.
I guess. Yeah,
No,
defroster. Yeah, the defroster. Yeah.
You switch it up to the defroster and down to your feet and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Pretty crude system that used hot air from the Volkswagen engine, along with, of course, exhaust fumes.
That's right. Yeah. Hopefully, you had that sealed. Didn't have any holes in your muffler.
Well, it's a convertible.
Yeah,
It's,
that's right. You shouldn't asphyxiate yourself.
so,
Carbon monoxide.
yeah. So I'll show them a little bit of a close-up of that, and that's kind of what we've got going here. We're installing batteries, balancing them, putting in our charger, and but I did kind of want to show you some of our basically interrupt circuitry in our wiring, so that we can shut this thing off in an emergency or in a crash. And I've got some of these. You can get them anywhere, but we put them in the store for convenience. They're about 130 bucks or something. Little inertia switch, and it's nothing particularly special. In the future, if it went bad or something, you can get them, and it doesn't even matter if you get a different kind. It's just a normally closed switch that opens on impact.
Right.
And I've got them on the web store if they need them. But that inertia switch is kind of a neat thing to have. If you're knocked unconscious but leaning on the accelerator and your car is on, you can have things. You weren't hurt too bad yet, but
could get worse.
In the aftermath, it could get worse for you and everybody on the road. And so we might as well steal the technology that they use in the ICE cars to cut off the fuel.
Yeah, nice idea.
To cut off our battery pack. Why not? So that's what we've got going up front, and this project's coming along pretty good. We're certainly going to have this put together by EVCON if Colin and Ladd will put a little giddy up on the generalized electric vehicle control unit.
Right.
And Colin Kidder and Ed Clausen have been added as speakers. They're going to come. In fact, Colin's bringing his father to the Electric Vehicle Conversion Convention, August 6th through the 11th. And he's going to come talk on the Arduino DUI and the open source GevQ and the he's done the CAN bus library on it. This is kind of the expert at this point on CAN bus libraries for Arduinos. He's way out ahead of the Arduino guys.
Oh, good. Okay.
He fixed the library for the Josh Stillwalt and the recharge card guys that had been done by somebody for the Arduino thing. And he improved that tremendously. And now we're going to have a 2-channel CAN bus in our device with the library for it. Now, why would we want 2 channels? Well, your vehicle might have a instrument cluster, for example, at 1 speed, 500K, and your DMOC 645 at another speed, 250K, and you can translate between them by having 2 channels that are independently operable at 2 different speeds.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So you snag stuff off your OBD2 and use it in your system, and you take information from your system and like run the gas gauge or something through the OBD2, even though they're 2 different speeds.
That's nice.
So
really nice.
That's actually going to be a thing.
That's a
I'm
big deal.
kind of excited about the move to the Arduino DUI. It's a 84 megahertz 32-bit processor. Tons. This is so much more computer than we had in my desktop in the 80s that it's incredible. And it's just a little controller. So he'll be there speaking on that. So I think that'll be a good addition.
I
But I
believe
hope
so.
we've got it all ironed out and running in the thing before he gets here
Before he-
to explain to you how he did it.
That's right.
That's the thing about things.
All right. We'll see you then. I'm liking that project more and more. It's just going together. I go out there and it's just going together.
Well, it's not just that. It's going together at waist level.
I know. That was funny. I'm just standing here at waist level.
I mean, you know,
We don't even have to use the
Have we
lift.
ever done a car? Well, that car's hardly ever been up on a
I know.
lift.
We're taking the lift space. We should probably take it off the lift because it is waist high.
I mean, the thing is making itself.
I know. Yeah, it's a great
You've got a
project.
box in the back seat, a couple in the front at waist level.
Yep.
Here's a switch. Here's a contactor. Here's a inertia switch.
Here's a charger.
And I've
Here's
still
a-
got room left.
I know.
Just to
We don't know what-
lay this out like on a tabletop.
Yeah.
A slanted tabletop. And so it's the easiest car to get around in I've ever.
It is.
Never done.
And we always look at the cars and say, isn't there there's a lot of room in this car once we get started, and we never have enough room.
Right. This one didn't look like that much room, and every time we look at it, it's like, oh yeah, we didn't need to do that. We got a whole bunch of other room
We got
here.
more room to do. Did we do everything we were thinking? Yeah, it's all in there. Yeah,
Well,
it's a great car.
Well, you can put it next to each other, so it didn't take up much room.
That's right.
I guess that's right.
Good, yeah,
The
we could.
charger's 1.5 feet from the J1772 plug. You're routing in that
No,
hard.
isn't that difficult to route it? No, it's nice.
And so the bucket truck, the Kubelwagen,
Yeah,
is
that's right.
turning out to be a pleasure to put stuff on. And that's really what you want for, in some ways, this is a rolling test bed for our generalized
Right.
electric vehicle control unit. And as I mentioned in there, Colin Kidder and his father and Ed Clausen are going to be out with this, and I'm very excited about this. Of course, I come up with the idea and started it, but I thought I would have to code most of it and certainly clean up most of it. And I did a spec on it, and these guys took it and ran, and Ed Clausen's doing a Shield.
Yeah,
They moved
right,
it
right.
to
Yeah, it's
Arduino
gonna be
Dewey. He's already got a library done for a 2-channel thing. This 2-channel is not, I don't know, I get things in my mind. I forget to mention why that's cool. OBD2 is CAN bus.
Right.
DMOC 645 is CAN bus. They don't have to be the same speed.
Yeah, that's really great.
But if I have 2 channels, they can be.
Right.
And with the same device out of the same code set, I'm talking on 2 buses at 2 different speeds and can move data back and forth between them and can really
It really
make some
opens up
hay.
some possibilities.
Yes,
yeah,
it does.
yeah.
In marrying to a more modern car that has
Yes.
OBD2 and its own CAN bus, which like the fuel gauge is driven from,
Right.
and
yeah.
that sort of thing. The RPM gauge.
Yeah, your TAC, all those gauges up there, even some of the lights, everything is.
That opens up a lot.
Yeah.
The much stronger processor makes it where you can do all that and not miss a lick in driving your controller
Right.
and forget where it's going.
Yeah. Yes. Don't want to do
Kind of
that.
a big deal. And so Colin and Ed are coming to EVCON, and they're going to be a speaker there. And Brian has finally put out and begged you guys to sign up. I inadvertently gave them till the end of May with the discounted thing, so nobody's bothered to sign up.
I know. Sorry I've been beating you guys up out there.
If you don't sign up, we can still cancel it, and we don't have a whole lot down in deposits or anything. But it would be okay to go ahead and sign up, give us the money, and we know you're coming.
Yeah, just let us plan. But so just put up with what I've been sending out to you, and the goal is come to the site and just sign up, get it over with.
Yeah, get it over with.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're going to have some neat
it's
speakers
great stuff.
and a little bit different kind of speakers. Royce Wood's going to talk about automatic transmissions in a real sense. So some of this is going to be a little more practical and pragmatic than battery theory and why we should all drive EVs. I mean, that's been done to death.
Right.
You
can watch the show for battery theory.
So I'm real happy about Colin and Ed coming to talk a little bit, and we've had several other volunteers. Eric Chris is coming. He was at the first one, and he's going to speak, and so a lot going on there. I did do a little, we didn't have much for our show this week, so I did a little thing on something I'm playing with. I play with a lot of stuff, and it kind of puts me behind on actually doing the show or running the business or doing anything I'm supposed to be doing. But that sense of play is where a lot of learning comes from. This week I was playing with thermal cells.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw him out there. All right.
Well, today I just thought I'd show you a little bit of experimental work in Jack and Brian's Excellent Adventure, and then you can guess what I'm building. This is a chill plate from an AC-50, and on the other side of it we have taken a 1/4 inch aluminum plate and countersunk the holes and put 1/4 inch bolts to where it clamped very tightly to the channel. And here we have our Summit Racing fittings that screw into the holes. And this would be a chill plate, except that's not what I'm doing it with it today. These are Peltier cells, thermoelectric cells, I suppose you would call them. These are kind of interesting, maybe about 20 bucks a piece, $15, $20. These particular ones will convert a voltage into a temperature difference, or conversely, a temperature difference into a voltage. These will run it up to 15 volts. They start to become effective at about 10. And they're about 125 watts. You may have seen the little beer coolers or little tiny little 6-pack refrigerators for the dorm room. They have heating and cooling, and they're reversible. And we also have this in the seats of the Cadillac Escalade, which put me in mind of this, that I can have air conditioning on my seat or heat, depending on a switch position. That's actually done with these little chips. And I've got about 20 of them here. And I have 2 heat sinks that have that are basically chill plates, that we could have a flow of glycol and water going through. And if I took the 4 corners of this and put some 1/4 inch, 3 inch bolts, I could probably clamp them together with my coolant fittings on the outside and have one big sandwich. Now the reason I want to do that is if we take one of these cells and we, I'll just clamp it here securely to one side of this. What the thermoelectric does is convert a flow of current, in this case up to about 8 amps at up to 15 volts, into a temperature differential. And what that means is that one side gets hot and the other side gets cold. By the way, if you reverse the current through it, the first side gets hot, gets cold, and the second side gets hot. It's not really very useful. You have a little chip that's got a hot side and a cold side. But if you connect either side to a heat sink, then the other side will exhibit the differential. Right here, I've got one of my little MI3 Raytech temperature device, and it's reading 76, 77 degrees. Maybe I can get this set up where you can see it. Probably if you can, I can't. But let's see what we can do here. And this is my probe. What do we got, about 60?
73, 74.
74, that's odd. Still?
71.
Okay, 71. I'm going to take this and hook it up to my battery, to the positive. I have the negative side hooked up to my thermoelectric effect cell. And now I'm going to kind of aim it at where the cell and the C-clamp, which is kind of like a heat sink, meet. And what have I got? Maybe 54, 52, 51. You can actually watch it count down. What we're doing is measuring the cold side, and it's only cold in reference to the hot side. And the hot side is connected to the heat sink, and so because, what have I got here? Probably 92 and climbing. This whole plate will wick off heat very well, but I still have 90s here, and that leaves we're in the 40s here and falling. 44, 45. We'll give that another second or two. I'm about 45 degrees at the interface of this C-clamp, and it's clamped down pretty tight. And the hot side, the reason this one's getting so cold below ambient, remember the temperature difference is just between one side and another on this device. So I'm getting cold compared to ambient because the hot side is wicking off the ambient here. This device will do up to 70 degrees differential at 15 volts. I'm at about 12 volts here, 12 to 13, and running a little bit of current through it. And so we have a temperature differential. I can do up to 70. If I had 20 of these in series, I could do up to 300 volts across the series of them. And each one of them would heat one of these chill plates and cool the other down to about 32 degrees. And what I would like to set up, if I can get all this wired up and get some thermal compound and get that on there, is then clamp these two together with these bolts to where I have a very tight heat sink with all of these, of course, turned in the same direction, the hot sides on one and the cold sides on the other. And we'll take a pump and a Summit Ridge heat exchanger and hook it up to this side, and we'll do exactly the same thing on the other side. And I should generate about 20 times 125, but really about 2,000 watts of heating and cooling using the Peltier effect. But I want to see if that makes noticeably warm air coming out of one of the Summit Ridge heat exchangers and noticeably cool air out of the other one. This is about $400 worth of chips here and $300 or $400 worth of chill plates as well. So this would not be a very inexpensive air conditioner. We're going to wind up with a couple $1,000 just in the setup with the pumps and the so forth. But it would be interesting to see if we can make that, because in an electric car, of course, it would be silent. It would run on the pack voltage, And we might be able to make a little bit of an air conditioner, tucking that into the dash with a fan on it. Summit Ridge heat exchanger might be a little loud, but it would blow cool air. And without a compressor or a evaporator or a lot of things that are loud, take up a lot of power, and take up a lot of room in the car. Because these would be, we would set this somewhere, and the rest of it, the two heat exchangers and pumps and so forth, could be anywhere in a car, simply connected by our black nylon hose. What happens if we reverse the voltage? Let's see what I've got here. We've been running a little bit. There's 39, 38, 37. Oh. Yeah, 37, 38, 39. I've had this down to 30 earlier today. This is up to, 92 degrees. And so that's pretty good. Let me take my little wires here. See if I can unwind them. And I'm going to hook my negative up to the positive, and my positive up to the negative, and reverse my current flow and yeah, we're all hooked up. Whoops. We're not going to want to do this very long because my heat side is at 219 degrees. It has no heat sink. That was kind of dumb. Help me, Mr. Wizard. Yeah, I probably shot that one. You see, had it had the other heat sink on it, on this side, but my little C-clamp, which is quite warm now, couldn't really carry the heat sink duties. We're at 118 and falling. But if I had an equal size heat sink over here, then it would wick away that heat. And so by having two flat chill plates, sandwiching 20 of these things, I'll have about 2,000 watts of temperature differential, trying to make one of those plates be 70 degrees warmer than the other one, or cooler than the other one. And so it should develop a temperature differential. If it's 70 degrees out, that should pretty much split to where one of them is 105 and one of them is 35. And that's a pretty good gap. If we had 35 degree air inside our car, that would be about 7 or 8 degrees lower than the airflow that you normally get with a regular air conditioner. If we reverse the switch, instead of burning up my chip, which I may have done, we'll have a heat sink going the other way, and it will simply reverse. And I'll have 35 degrees colder than ambient on the outside. Let's say it was 30 degrees outside. Then my one Summit Ridge would be blowing 0 degree air out into the outside, and 75 degree air on the inside, or 65 degrees. So it would be heating. And we can do that simply by reversing the current through the assembly. So this is sort of a magic, totally still, totally silent, quite expensive way of heating and cooling. But it offers some advantages in Cadillac Escalade seats, but also that may be applicable to electric vehicles. I don't know that we'll ever get to putting this in a vehicle. This is one of the sort of little projects I play with around here on the benches, experimenting with components and various things. But this is far enough along, I'm going to try two heat sinks, wedging them together and wire up 20 of them in series and put 200 or 300 volts across it, and see at that power level what temperature it makes each plate, and then hook up some pumps and fans and heat exchangers and see you know, kind of how efficient that system is as far as temperature differential for the power that goes in. As a practical matter, in a car, it's kind of like the heating. We need about 4,000 watts in the Escalade. Probably about 4,000 watts is what you'd need. This would be about 2,000, and it'll probably cost about $1 a watt. So you'd be looking at a $4,000 device, 4,000 watts, and kind of double the size of this little sandwich somewhere in the car, but it can be underneath the car and hosed up with hoses to two relatively small heat exchangers, one in the car, one outside of the car. You have to have separate pumps and a separate fill tank, and that gets to be quite a system. So there's no magic panacea here, but I'm not too sure you couldn't make a working air conditioner heater that would be reversible this way, that doesn't use a compressor, which compressed 740, that's about 3 horsepower. You're talking about the same power for air conditioning, except it would be also be usable for heat, and it would it'd be kind of elegant in a way, but it's going to take quite a bit of power to heat or cool and be quite expensive. But the costs of these things are coming down, and so it's a thing to play with. This is the sort of thing that if you do it and it doesn't work out, you come back 3 years later, well, these aren't 125 watts, they're 500 watts, and they're half the size, and instead of $20, they're $9. And so what doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, if you learn how it works and sort of learn a little bit about the techniques, all of a sudden 3 years goes by and things have changed. You have different components, they're more capable, they're less money, and you may have more need and find out that you know, increasingly you need an efficient and small and light air conditioning system, and things like the evaporator and the condenser with the dryer and the compressor, which would do air conditioning but not heat, is a problem. I know about the heat pumps, guys. They're very inefficient under 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where you need a heater for your car. And so inevitably heat pumps wind up being backed up by radiant heat, and now you have a not very efficient system. The Peltier is thermal effect cell is just kind of an interesting area. They're making more of these cells. They're becoming less expensive because they've gotten into beer coolers and little bitty refrigerators and things. And they'll put 3 or 4 of these in there to do it. I kind of like the throw the mass against the wall. If 3 or 4 is good, 20 would be better, wouldn't it? And if 24 volts from the little power supply would be good, then how about 300? And so we just simply, the scale of things in electric cars tends to be larger. And so I thought I'd try this, and we'll continue to play with it. There's no real objective here, nothing really, you know, that I can pass on to you very useful. Day in the life of Jack, and why I'm not quite as productive as I should be, because I keep playing with oddities. Stay with us. The Peltier effect, how do you pronounce that?
I guess it's French. I guess Peltier, I suppose.
I'm sure.
Unless you're from Missouri, then it'd be Peltier or something.
Peltier.
Peltier.
Pelter.
Pelter. Pelter. The Pelter effect.
And so it's just something I'm playing with. I don't know that we'll ever put it in a car. It's just, we'll put it together and stress it
And
out.
see what
and
happens.
Measure some temperatures is what we'll do.
Yeah.
And
Let's see what happens
it'll
with it.
probably, like most things, be 70 degrees at this end and 60 at this. It works, but it's useless.
Yeah. But we'll know that.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Even a blind hog gets an acorn now and again.
Just kept rooting around.
Some of these pay off for me, and some of them don't.
And there's a pile of them in there that don't. That's how we learn.
We've got a pile of batteries that almost didn't get melted. And we've got another pile, probably 6 foot tall, of pretty valuable scrap metal, all cut to almost exactly the right size.
Got some boxes that are almost the right diameter.
And then there are just some electronic things that were mostly wired up and sort of did something, and
stuck to your shoe, and
my attention
can't find them.
wandered, and I couldn't remember what it was or what it was supposed to do, and so it never did quite get finished.
Yeah, and then they had ground off the serial numbers and not sent any documentation anyway.
Right, well, that's
know?
right. That keeps us from being arrested.
That's right. Keep us from going to Washington and paying our own way.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I spent $10,000 building an ultracapacitor module. That'll
Yes.
do 192 volts at, I don't know, maybe 40 farads or something.
I think so. Yeah,
And this thing was cool. You could pre-charge it. You could discharge it. You could do all sorts of things with it. And it's in a box. But it's this long and this wide and this tall. And it weighs 125 pounds.
it does. It's hard to have hanging out
And I
of
was
the
going to do this
feedster.
whole thing on buffering batteries with supercapacitors.
Yep.
And why anyone would care, what that effect that would have, and do some experiments in a car and that verify it or you know, invalidate it. And it's too heavy to pick up. I look at it when I walk by every once in a while. But
It's painted John Deere green,
it's
too.
painted John Deere
You can't
green.
miss it.
Yeah, you can't miss it. But I've got $10,000.
I know, yeah. I know.
And they're nearly obsolete Maxwell capacitors. And I don't know.
Some days you win, some days you learn something.
Yeah.
You know,
I've
what do you do?
got a lot of half-done projects, so that's life with Jack. I was regaling with Hauber, reliving good times.
The halcyon
6 months
days.
he was out here. He was trying to come to grips with how someone could go to work for me 6 times. I told him, well, as you recall, it's not as easy as I make it look.
That's right. It's not quite as simple as it seems.
But if you get used to it, and then you go off to somewhere else where instead of trying to take over the world, they want to sell pizza. It can be degrading. You don't want to devote your life to selling pizza.
That's right. It's not as interesting.
It's just not as interesting. It doesn't have the drama.
That's right. That's right. We need some drama.
Yes, he's delusional, but it's a great delusion.
That's right.
It's a lot of fun to watch you go through it. And you kind of get caught up in it.
That's right. It's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. Free cook for the kids.
Better-
Balloon animals.
That's it. Yes.
Stay with us. We're going to do this again next week, whether you show up or not.
All right. We'll see you then.